After being shut down all day by a single fire, a trickle of flights have finally started taking off. A lucky few at Heathrow are getting away after hours of uncertainty.
It's been exciting, it's been an experience, it's been manic. It's a relief to be here now, and it's been an absolute nightmare. 5 minutes before we got the email saying please make your way to the airport, we'd been on with BA Customer Services who said it was cancelled.
Earlier, flames, not planes, had been filling the skies above Heathrow. This electrical substation may look relatively small, but the fire has caused travel disruption worldwide. This morning, firefighters were still trying to control the flames. Normally, a plane would take off from Europe's busiest airport every 45 seconds. But there was only one way to travel down the runway today. The airport has apologised.
What happened around midnight last night was obviously that we lost a major part of our power supply. And I'd like to stress that this has been an incident of major severity. It's not a small fire.
Durham University student Hope Stokes has been trying to get home to California for her friend's funeral and is worried she won't make it.
How was it going in and realising that you couldn't fly?
At first I was calm, cool and collected because I was like, well, it'll figure itself out. And then once my flight passed, I was like, I don't know if it's going to figure itself out, and I can't get a hold of the airline and I don't know what to do.
The fire brigade and police have said this evening it is not being treated as suspicious. The government added that the flames knocked out the substation, the airport's backup generator, and 67,000 homes woke up without power.
It's important to remember that large airports such as Heathrow take up about as much energy as a small city, and so I've spoken to the chief executive of Heathrow about what has happened and any lessons that might be learnt for the future.
Flights might have resumed, but Heathrow say there will be disruption for days.
And Amy joins us from outside Heathrow Airport now to give us the latest on attempts to get it all working again. How's it going there, Amy?
Well, earlier the airport said that they wanted 8 long-haul flights to take off before the end of today. In the last hour, we've seen the first of those leaving here at Heathrow. So some good news, but clearly this has been a highly embarrassing day for the airport. Around 200,000 passengers have been affected around the globe, and all of this, of course, because of a single fire at an electrical substation a couple of miles away from here. Earlier on this evening, the government said that they were going to ease restrictions to allow flights to take off overnight here, an easing of the restrictions to ease congestion. It's something that obviously wouldn't normally happen here. And tomorrow the Heathrow say that they hope that the operation will pick up as usual, but clearly it is going to take some days, Julie, for the backlog to, of course, to be sorted. We have seen here in the past shutdowns, but we have never seen anything quite like this.
OK, Amy, thank you very much indeed for that. Well, as we said, the effects of today's Heathrow shutdown are still rippling out far afield. Even though flights are resuming and Heathrow says it's hoping for a full schedule tomorrow, many people are tonight still stuck in unexpected places. Many others have been unable to get to the places they badly wanted or needed to go.
In airports all over the world are people stranded, stuck, trying to make sense of journeys which have suddenly become incredibly complicated. In Delhi, passengers have been told it could be days before they'll get home.
They went inside to get my boarding pass. They told us that the flight has been cancelled and there's no flight for next 2-3 days.
They changed the flight for 4 days' time on the 24th.
Others did get as far as boarding and taking off, only for their planes to be turned around mid-flight.
I was travelling to Oslo, connecting through Heathrow to visit my dad who has cancer, to spend time with him, and now I will have to rebook my flights and find other accommodations.
Then there are those for whom Heathrow was meant to be a stop-off, but is now somewhere they're
Last night it cost me £90 to stay at this hotel. If I wanted to stay at the same hotel tonight, and the same room, it was going to cost me £449, and it was absolutely disgraceful. And I don't have anywhere to go.
In sunny Athens, Scotland's Tartan Army were still celebrating last night's win over Greece, despite waking up to some less welcome news. Adam and his dad David should have been back in Glasgow by now.
The first flight we got offered was to go via Doha, believe it or not, in Qatar this evening. But the way that we've actually accepted is to go to stay the night in Athens. We're going to then fly tomorrow night from Athens to Munich, stay the night in Munich. Then on Sunday morning, fly from Munich to Frankfurt, back home to Glasgow.
We should be home by midday on Sunday. Just in time for the match on Sunday evening at Hampden when we play Greece again.
The most important thing.
They might be more cheerful than most who have found themselves spending tonight in a different city or country to the one where they expected to be. Chloe Keedy, News at 10, Athens.
So how did a fire at an electricity substation manage to take out Europe's busiest airport, and how long might it take to resolve the resulting flight disruption all over the world? Well, Martin's here to look at all of that for us. Martin.
Yeah, well, Julie, the North Hyde substation is about 3 miles to the northeast of Heathrow. And we can see from earlier satellite images 3 T-shaped structures in the middle. Now, they are transformers which take electricity from 275,000 volts down to levels we can use. And the middle one is the one which caught fire. Now, here we have a picture of what it looked like before, and here is what it looked like after. The effect of 25,000 litres of cooling oil inside catching fire. Now, the whole site would have had to be switched off to allow firefighters in, and backup systems appear to have been damaged too. But we have had warnings in the past. Just in June, flights were grounded at Manchester Airport after a power outage. So why wasn't Heathrow, Europe's busiest airport, more resilient? Well, the airport says backup generators did provide essential services, things like air traffic control and runway lights. And Heathrow is served by 3 substations. One of those was already broken. The upshot is not enough electricity to meet the airport's full needs. Now, by mid-afternoon, the national grid was able to divert power around the damaged substation, allowing a handful of flights, at least, to start going this evening.
And I suppose that's the key, isn't it, tonight? It's only a handful of flights, Martin. How long will it be before things are properly back to normal?
Well, this is the big question. And, they are saying that capacity will be full tomorrow, but there's a huge amount of catching up to do. Now, if we look at the flights which are normally in the air at the moment, flying into or out of West London, and then we fast forward to what we saw this morning, just look at the difference. In total, nearly 1,400 flights were disrupted, 220,000 passengers impacted. The people and planes are quite simply in the wrong place. And the added issue is the nearby airports like Gatwick to the south, which has the busiest single runway in the world, have limited spare capacity to pick up the slack. Now, the last time we saw disruption on this scale was following the Icelandic volcano ash cloud in 2010. That cost the aviation industry £130 million per day because it's their obligation to get you where you're going or give you a full refund. No wonder the IATA, who represents airlines, has said it would be a clear planning failure if it turned out Heathrow was dependent on a single source of power without an alternative. Just one, Julie, of many questions still standing tonight.
Indeed, and one that we should pick up on and discuss now with Shihab, who's joining me now to talk about the investigation and the government's response to the shutdown that we've witnessed today. Now, it was interesting listening to the Transport Secretary. She's already saying we're working out what lessons need to be learned. What are the big questions and what lessons do need to be learned from tonight, apart from simply just getting to the bottom on how on earth this could happen?
Yeah, I think that is the big one. We've heard ministers say it. Number 10 are saying it as well, that there are questions here that need to be answered. How this has happened, why the country's biggest and busiest airport was so vulnerable, and essentially the government has asked a number of agencies to look into it, to get down and figure out what's happened here. There are multi-agency calls that have been taking place between government departments, the Civil Aviation Authority, the National Grid. The Prime Minister has been receiving regular updates throughout the day. The official position at the moment is that this was an unprecedented incident, as you heard from Martin there, that some of the backup generators did work as they were supposed to, but we still have seen a huge impact. The government has asked counter-terrorism officers to look into this. They are going to be leading the investigation along with the fire brigade. There's no indication of foul play, but we're told that officers are keeping an open mind as they look into it. There are two main reasons why they are leading on this. The first is because this has had a huge impact on critical national infrastructure. It's had such a big impact. The second reason is because counter-terrorism officers and that department have special resources and more capacity to be able to work at pace. This emphasises the fact that the government want answers, and they want answers quickly. They believe that allowing this set of officers to actually focus the investigation is the best way to make sure those questions are answered as quickly as possible. We've heard ministers talk about it. I know for a fact that the Transport Minister, the Home Secretary, the Energy Secretary, they've all been talking about it. They want answers quickly, and they think this is the best way to do so.